Base command, base command. Our trajectory is set. Telemetry is sound. Our communications are up. We have a stream. We are going live in 3, 2, 1. Ballistic Patriot live.
The American dog was telling him about how things were in this country. He said, you know, you bark and you bark long enough, and then somebody comes along and gives you some meat. And the Polish dog said, what's meat? The Russian dog says, what's bark?
Probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus!
Those gym muscles aren't scaring anybody, pal.
Your friend here really insulted my friend, and he needs to apologize.
Donald Trump no longer has the capacity to break my heart.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
So don't mess with me.
What are you prepared to do?
I'm going to wrap this chain around your head.
Looks like we lost a daughter, but we gained a meathead.
Go ahead. Make my day. Why don't you just sit there and bleed a while before you taste some real pain?
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
What's your view on homosexuality?
Yeah, I am mindful that we're all sinners. And I caution those who may try to take the speck out of their neighbor's eye when they got a log in their own.
Welcome, brother.
I gotta get the log out of my eye. Namaste. I love that.
Namaste. All right, so
it's perfect. I love that. That George Bush has given us only a few things to love and adore him for. That, and of course, strategery, which is a genius word.
We'll have to put him into some of our things that we're going to be doing.
Right.
Our little skits. All right, so let's dive right in because we do have a time limit because we are expecting a visitor.
Oh, yes. But wait a minute. Hey, brother, look, now that we have a workplace, here's my update. Number of days since accident, 0.
You almost fell. You almost fell today.
No, a certain incident on a certain range.
I see.
I just want to thank you for the for the workplace accident, and nobody got hurt.
Free and clear. Nobody got hurt.
But thanks for having me up.
Extensive safety procedures.
Right. And a laser pointer apparently.
Laser pointer was done.
The laser just like bends light, like somehow like it's.
It's of course we're doing experimental optics.
Right. Experimental stuff.
Experimental.
Up at the Luigi. The Luigi F. Baldini Memorial Range, right?
Right.
But it was thank you for having me, and
it was my pleasure.
You
act like you're leaving already.
I'm trying to get out of here real fast.
All right, so let's get on with the show. We're going to do a little bit of updates. We're going to be talking about the updates on the House races, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit about what's going on in Pennsylvania. And then John will finish it out with the Michael Flynn pardon. So let's dive in. This is hot off the presses. We'll go into let's change our scenes. There we go. And we are now in the news. By the way, follow us on Facebook. So here we are in the news scene. Let's start with Facebook. There is a recent event just today, which is Saturday, that was held. I think it was in Bedminster. It was a rally to support President Trump, and they were gathering prior to heading off. Now, one of the big motivators, or I should say, one of the big drives we've discovered recently is there's a strong element within the Republican Party that has shown their RINO colors, and these RINO colors come through very strongly. You're going to hear her speak. He recently ran for Senate against Mehta and Flanagan. He didn't win, and so we have now him. He's running for governor. Here is his speech right here.
Governor, to stop Bill Murphy. I just didn't realize how corrupt this state really is. You know, one thing's clear, you better really take this to heart. If President Trump somehow loses, it was not the Democrats that beat him. It's the RINO Republicans that betrayed him and stabbed him in the back. Why do we even have millionaire Goldman Sachs Bill Murphy? We only have Bill Murphy because Chris Christie destroyed the Republican Party in New Jersey. He ruined the Republican Party. When he became governor, we had 6 Republican congressmen out of New Jersey. We only have 2 right now because of President Trump.
So that's Hirsch talking. Good guy. He's clearly hitting the same mark that you and I have been talking about rhinos within the party. And I want to point out he's nailed it with Chris Christie because we also know that Chris Christie recently came out, and I'll pull up his quote, which I have in my stack of stuff.
You mean in your
notebook?
Papers? Your notebook?
My notebook, yes.
Of stuff. Your notebook stack of stuff.
Chris Christie calls Trump legal team a national embarrassment. So this is the kind of guy, CNN anchor, by the way. He's a CNN anchor now, or on the CNN guest hosting is where you'll find him. Also, the Maryland governor, Larry Hogan, says, tell Trump to stop golfing and concede. So we definitely want to listen to the guy Hogan, who voted twice for Trump's opposition. And we definitely want to listen to Chris Christie, who, quite frankly, is a national embarrassment himself. If you remember, John, he gave big hugs to Barack Obama during the 2012 campaign. So, and we also have more from the Chris Christie camp. We have his lieutenant governor who ran for governor against Murphy and lost, Kim Godano, who also came out and made a similar comment to what Chris Christie said. So New Jersey seems to be infested, and that is true.
With these
infested,
what you call them?
Rats
leaving the ship.
Yeah, rats leaving the ship, or rhinos, rhino rats who want to leave the ship. And I'm sorry, I have no problem saying that to Chris Christie's face. I'll say it to Kim's face. I mean, they may be nice people. I don't really care. They've managed to align themselves with the people who are stealing the election, and also causing great turmoil within our country, threatening to take our rights, threatening to take our guns, take our houses. The list of things that Joe Biden, Basement Biden hasn't, campaigned, but his surrogates certainly have. We can see this in the what do they call those, AOC and her tribe of people. We can see them with the social democrats, whatever you want to call them, socialist democrats. They want to destroy our country as we know it. They want to take back our rights, and they think that we shouldn't have rights. They want to pack the courts and do whatever they want. So
you know what I hate the most about Christie?
Tell me.
He pretends to be a big guy. Quote big as in fat.
And you know what, John? He
just does that for sympathy.
He does. He pretends to be a big guy and be a tough guy, but he's pandering.
He's pandering to all the Italians in New Jersey. And he makes a bad name for all the really decent big guys, right?
Me being one.
Whoa. James, I'm not saying anything. It's just the camera.
John, when I ran.
It adds 15 pounds to camera.
Big Jim. Vote Big Jim.
James.
But no, seriously, this campaign of the Democrat light, or I should say Republican light candidates like Chris Christie, Hogan, Kim Godano, and John, there's a whole list more.
Moron Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that guy, and they just infesting our party. And we can see clearly that these people are the ones who have damaged Trump. We saw them the first 2 years of Trump's time in office. We saw how they, the Paul Ryans, the slippery eels, the Mitt Romneys. Now we see
The elites, the aristocrats.
The McCains,
the aristocrats.
The aristocrats. We see them in all their glory now. We get to see them preening their little feathers and so proud. See how bad Trump is? Evil orange man.
And then the next thing they want to do is they want to jump in and take over the party that he's created. For the first time, the Republican Party actually represents us, the working class Americans who do most of the working and living and dying around here.
Exactly.
And for the first time, the Republican Party actually represents us. And these aristocrats think they're going to come in and take that party he's created. Nah, I have zero interest in voting for any Marco Rubio or another Bush or a
John. They're just corporatists. They're really the guys who are in charge. They're like the corporate media, which is the next article here we have. We have a local paper, a local newspaper that takes care of one county in New Jersey, the northwest corner. And who runs it, John? Who runs it? The corporate media, the same people on USA Today, the Bergen Record. They're a large corporation, massive. And what's the message they're sending out? You can see in the article that they're saying about how Trump is, local GOP has backbone national leaders lack. So they're sitting there talking about, you can see it on the screen. They are looking at what Trump is doing, and they're encouraging GOP, so-called GOP, these rhinos like Hogan and Christie and Cadano and the clowns and Romney to stand up against President Trump. When in actuality, President Trump is standing to make sure we have a fair election. And what is wrong with that, John? What is wrong with us making sure that the votes, all legal votes, are counted? What is wrong with that? Oh, it's because it's not there's no real answer for that. There's no answer that they have other than to say it's partisan. They're being partisan in their attack, and because they're not willing to ferret out the criminal behavior. We'll talk more about that.
One point about this, James. This is the New Jersey Herald.
Yeah,
this is the Newton paper. Newton, for as long as we've been growing up, it's the little town in our little town of
Sussex County, the reddest state part of the.
But wait, it's owned now by the corporation.
Yep.
So it's no longer
owned by a corporation that's willing to push its message of hate Trump.
So you no longer have real local newspaper. Not even in the local little town of Newton, the little county seat of Sussex County, little tiny county, Sussex County seat. You have a free journalism and a free press. You have this corporate takeover pushing their propaganda, their corporate propaganda.
Exactly.
It's almost like only the Ballistic Patriot and the interweb, whatever they call this fancy little thing here, are the only bastions of freedom of a free press left.
No,
almost.
We and the small bloggers in places like Epic Times and OAN or Newsmax, all these small, quote unquote, small time non-corporate monsters are the ones
not paid off.
We're not paid off because we're not. This is all us.
Well, you paid me off, but
I don't know how to pay you off. You don't have a salary.
I'm real cheap, so real cheap.
But so we, here we are in the state.
I've always had low self-esteem.
In the state of New Jersey, we have great people who want to run for office. And we also have a lot of rhinos that are infesting our party, and we need to get rid of them. We need to get them out of control. They're at the top of the party, many of them. Some of them are infesting the middle layers, the chairs and the county and the executives, directors and such that are infesting that. But they're in an infestation, John. These rhino rats are an infestation, and we need to vote them out. We need to get them out. We need to push them out of their position of control, because they are the ones that are continually repeating the same process. They make sure they get a weak candidate so the Democrats can win. And they sometimes, I think, John, in some counties, they do this intentionally. I think they do it intentionally so that they can keep things under their control, because these rhino Republicans can't really fight, A, and they don't want to lose their position of power.
Rhino rats, I like that, James.
Rhino rats.
I like your. I mean, it is
That's what they are.
two different animals, and so that could be confusing. But it is one word, so you can make it like
Rhino rats.
So I like that.
It's what they are. So okay, that's my segment, brother. Now it's on to you.
Okay, so we're doing the updates, our election updates.
Yes.
So the election updates from us. Now, during the election, one of the reasons why we know it's complete fraud is that only the Ballistic Patriot predicted that the House would not go in a blue wave even further down the Nancy Pelosi AOC rat hole, or if you want to say, no, you have to use a different analogy, Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland hole. And so we predicted that there were 18 or 19 seats that they needed, that the Republicans need to pick up to tie the House or to win the House. And that we predicted when we did a statistical our statistician wing of the Ballistic Patriot did a retrograde analysis looking at comparing the Trump election versus the 2018 election and putting them into sets. We put them in the one set of House of Representatives which were blue, that were facing a Trump red wave, and in that category there were 8 that we picked out that we won every single one of them. Okay, then there was a second category. They were like 8-point difference to 30 points. Those were districts that Trump took by 30 points, from anywhere from 8 to 30 points. So then we had another set where it was like 4% to 8%. And currently there was another 8 of them, and we call them for them too. We are currently, the House has won 12 seats. So we got half of them, and of the other 4 that we picked out, the Republicans are ahead in all 4, but of course the Democrats are inventing votes. Mm-hmm. Now from all of them though, then we had another category, 2 other categories of like from 2% and like or like 1% to 2% and 1% to like just 1%, where it was a really close rate. But even if you look at those, the other 8, Republicans lead in all of those. So the bottom line is we might win 15. We might have won 15 House seats, or we might actually get, as the Ballistic Patriot predicted, the actual 18. If things keep continuing. Isn't that freaking amazing, there, brother?
How would that be? How would that turn out with control of the House? How far would we be away?
Well, right now it's down to where remember. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Let me give you some more of the facts, okay?
Some more facts.
So for the Senate, it went. It's up to the 2 in Georgia, but of the toss-up ones, again, no blue wave, red wave. We won the 5 out of the 7 that were up for grabs. The 2 that are being run off in Georgia, which are with all 7. So again, no blue wave, red wave. Now, here's the biggest thing, and it's from our friends in 538 blog. The 538 blog pointed out that, just like in the state of Pennsylvania, again, in the state of Pennsylvania, there's supposed to be a blue wave that was going to give the House and the Senate to the Democrats, and that they were going to win. They were going to pick up the Pennsylvania the Pennsylvania governor isn't one governor; he's like 5 or 6 people, and so Shapiro, that creep Shapiro, was up. He's the Attorney General. There's the Auditor General was up, and there's like the Treasurer. So there's like the 3 powers of the executive. Wolf himself wasn't up, but there was like the three powers of the executive up. Plus, we were supposed to lose the House, and we were supposed to lose the Senate in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Blue wave never came. Red wave came, and only Shapiro barely held on, probably because he's cheating, along with that. But with the House, no names for the Republicans won both the Auditor General and the Treasurer, and that's important, as my friend points out, because now they're going to be able to see what good old Wolfie and Shapiro are doing the money, and the Dems are doing with money. But also, the House is redder than it was, and the state legislature, the state House, the state Senate is redder than it ever was.
And yet he lost.
Yeah, supposedly he lost by 100,000 votes. Right. So there's no proof, right? But that same red wave happened throughout the country. And here's why it's important for the Congress, which is what we originally started on for the update. As our friends in 538 blog, one more point from our friend in Pennsylvania, the best attorney in Pennsylvania. He points out that statistically, the only cities that Biden won, the only city in every other city in urban area, Trump outperformed Hillary from last time, except for in the battleground states, in the battleground cities. That's the only place Trump did not outperform Hillary like he did last time.
The corrupt.
Right. I just want to add that point there. But taking that all together, that shows you the so-called win of Biden was so narrow that among state houses across the country, there was a red wave. You can call it legitimate red wave because what's important is the census is done every 10 years. It's 2020. The census is in now. And now the state legislatures reapportion the districts, the federal districts and the local districts. And what that means, if from 538 block, there was such a red wave thanks to Trump throughout the country that the Republicans are in solid control of 188 of the congressional districts versus 73 for the Democrats. And then the middle ones are the ones like in Pennsylvania, where even though the state House and the state Senate are firmly in control of the Republicans, the idiot Governor Wolf has a veto over that. So they have to come to some kind of like fairness conclusion. But so with that means though, going forward for the next decade, but especially in the 2022 elections, the Republicans are being in control of redistricting 188 versus 73 for the Democrats. So Ballistic Patriot is going to get them first on the board with a prediction for the 2022 congressional elections. The red wave of Trump will continue, and they will flip the House in 2022. So whether it's Nancy in control by then or AOC combination. Now, what to get back to your point, what it is supposedly the squad is up to 7 now of these radical nutburger Democrat socialists, which is the Nazi wing of the Democrat Party. Right. So the nutburger part. So now with seven though, she can play screw games with Nancy Pelosi. And let's be real about this. This is all about money to steal and power, between Nancy and her. And so she could actually go to the Republicans or cut some deal with Republicans. And why not? As Trump points out, good old Bernie Sanders is the biggest loser of all time. Here he goes. He loses to Hillary, right? Election stolen from him. Right?
It really was by Dominion.
Right. Stolen the first time in 2016. Then it gets stolen again by Biden, right? And then Biden goes and tries and steals it from Trump. But at least Trump's only had it stolen from him one time, whereas this guy's had it stolen from him twice.
He's a serial,
Right. So
serial loser.
So that's the update for the election. Now for the game, because the game ain't over. Now with Pennsylvania in serious dispute, and it can't survive. Pennsylvania cannot survive legally. That's the 20. This is the electoral vote.
I don't know the information off the top of my head, but I know a judge already said, off the record that it was.
No, not off the record. He put it on. The state judge put a hold on the certification process any further in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So Pennsylvania ultimately cannot survive because there were so many mismanagement and so much corruption in the election to such a degree, overriding what the legislature rules were, that there's no way it can survive. So take that 20 points off. Biden is at 306 minus 20. That puts him at 286. Now the next two up will be Michigan and Georgia, and the Kraken has followed in both of those. And so if she's successful, say she's successful, because remember everything is the margins. The margin in Georgia is 12,670 votes. The margin in Michigan is like 155,000 votes. So say she wins Georgia and she loses in Michigan, and that still leaves Biden at 270, and he still wins the election. But the margins then in the other states at issue are very, very narrow. And Wisconsin is like 20,000. Arizona is 10,000. Nevada is 33,000. And those are still yet to be challenged. And when 3,000 people are living in California and voting in Nevada for Biden, that's a problem. So all he would have to do then is to get one of them to decertify their elections, and then it goes to the contingency elections, and then it goes to the House, and then, like we talked to at the very beginning, thanks again to the best lawyer in Pennsylvania, that would then give the election back to Trump, rightly
John,
so.
I'm going to just interrupt you. I have a question here. Isn't there some way that at this point in this situation where there's such a preponderance of evidence, there's thousands, the Trump administration has thousands of incidents of fraud or abuse of the system. They have, all kinds of data that's coming through from across the nation. Isn't there at some point where it goes to before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says we're going to address this in one big lump and say, is it possible for the Supreme Court to say, at this point, we can't there's no certifications. The electoral vote across the states have been compromised on some level. Since there's a remedy already in place to the failure of certification, can't they just say we're canceling out the election and sending it directly to
they can't cancel out the entire election unless they have proof of the fraud.
Well, I mean,
but state to state they could, and then
if the Kraken is successful with Dominion and Smart Tech, I think its name is, if she's successful in making that case, because that case is is going to end up in the Supreme Court.
Well, there's a step in between.
Right.
So here's how you're right. They can't cancel the entire and have us redo the entire election. However, they don't have to because it's already been provided for in the Constitution.
Right.
And there's another step though that the Supreme Court has added to it. So basically, they've broken up the United States of America. So there's the federal district courts, right, which are the trial courts in the federal system. Then there's the circuit courts, or the 13 circuits. Like everybody's probably familiar with the Ninth Circus in California because they always do this crazy decisions. Well, in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, it's the Third Circuit. New York's the Second Circuit. So there are these circuits, right? And then there's the Supreme Court itself. Well, because of the elections are mandated, the power of the elections, we always talk about like three powers, like divided government in of the federal Constitution being, divided three ways between the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. It's not. It's more four ways between the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, and the state legislations, the individual state legislations. And so the courts have developed a system where they've broken up the district courts into being supervised by each one of the Supreme Court members. So, for example, New Jersey and Pennsylvania in the Third Circuit is supervised by Sam Alito on the Supreme Court, and so that came into play because prior to this election, when the Pennsylvania Supreme Court was illegally and with no power and authority playing screw with the Pennsylvania elections, he put a stay. It had the effect of an order. It was a memo because both sides agreed to it that to preserve issues for later. It's one of the reasons why Pennsylvania cannot cannot survive, because they, of course, then the Secretary of State, the Democrat State Secretary of State, this Klobuchar nut and Wolf, then ignored that and did what they wanted to do anyway. And the corrupt counties did the same thing. So there was a disparate treatment of the Barretts even after Alito spoke to them and put both sides, and they agreed to separate out the votes that were at issue. So anyway, each of the areas is supervised. So that supervisor, we'll call him like a Supreme Court supervisor, like Alito, is supposed to be like watching over the elections to a degree. Now, interestingly enough, the areas, so that's like an intermediate level.
Michigan's Barrett, right?
Right. That's just it. So I think Kavanaugh. I forget where Kavanaugh is, but Gorsuch, who's the most reliable of the new ones, I think is with Wisconsin or vice versa. But of Georgia, it has the most reliable of all the Supreme Court justices, the best of all. There you go. Why? Because it's from the area you're from. The reason why Alito is in charge of the Third Circuit is because he's from New Jersey, right? And so there is that level, and then all I have to do is convince their fellows that listen, something is really dirty in the state of Denmark / Georgia / Pennsylvania / Michigan / Wisconsin here. Right. We need to step in, and so then they can step in to invalidate particular elections. They would probably they have to invalidate the Pennsylvania one. The Georgia one itself is a whole. You have to have me do a whole show on that, and the Michigan one stuff, and it's different in state to state about the degree of perfidy and malfeasance that was allowed to go on. Right. But again, any fool who wants to believe that Biden got that Donald Trump gets 11 million more votes than he did last time. Mm-hmm. And more than great Obama, and more than great Hillary, and everybody else.
He got more votes across the spectrum, not just white people.
Wow,
he got it from across the spectrum.
Right, we should talk about that. That too. Definitely talk about that.
He broadened his base. And he strengthened his base. I don't understand.
Should I tell him about my black guy was pleading guilty to on Tuesday?
Go ahead.
So I'm pleading this guy guilty to it. I'm down in a hole in good old Delco, and I'm pleading this guy guilty, and I'm trying to explain to him, listen, you're gonna have to go with inpatient. Inpatient, you got to keep your mouth shut. Okay, you just have to get through it because the judge is not going to hear. He lets you out. He's not going to hear this nonsense. I tell him, I had this guy. He goes in inpatient. He's there for a day, and he says, I'm for Trump, and of course everybody's for Biden. And then he gets kicked out. Now, you think the judge who's going to hear some story like that? He's not going to hear some story like that. He wants you to complete the inpatient, right? He says to me this, I'm for Trump too. So anyway, I'm talking to his wife going, knucklehead's in there telling me that he's going to be hard-headed about this. You got to commit. And she goes, I know. I want him to do the inpatient, right? In the middle of it, though, her brother-in-law, I'm telling her this story. Her brother-in-law can hear our conversation, and it comes to a part where I go where I say he's for Trump too, and the other the black guy on the phone goes, "Yeah, I'm for Trump too. I don't care he's a racist. I'm for Trump too." And the girl, and the poor wife that I'm talking to, they're both crazy. But you think about that for a second. We're talking Delaware County, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, right? Yes. These guys. So Trump got to them, right? And so when you see these creeps in the Democrat Party, like Mayor Kenny and all these rich white leftists stealing money from the government, supposedly in the name of the poor African-American Negro, right? Underneath them, they're just doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for the black people in Philadelphia and the surrounding environs. They could care less about them, as they've always done. They're trying to erase them from the face of the planet. But Trump has actually reached out to the black community, and like I tell people, I hear, he's a racist. I say, well, he's the worst racist that there ever was because he just gave them more jobs than they ever had. But he commuted the sentence of a lot of them to get them out on the street,
and he's also supported the black colleges.
And yes, right. And here's the thing too: he's been the strongest president we've ever had against abortion, which abortion is the Democrat secret weapon to eliminate the American black race from the face of the planet. Mm-hmm. When they abort more than half the babies that are aborted are black, you will wipe out the black. Right? They've successfully done it to this point where they're now the second largest minority in the country. Right. Fast for if you do the run out the demographics by 2030, there won't be enough of them to matter. And so he's the worst racist there ever was by stopping the killing of the black babies. And our slogan, right? Black baby lives matter.
That's right. Black baby lives do matter.
Black baby lives matter, right? So he's the worst racist there ever was. But that's an interesting side point.
His comparison to the guy he was running against.
Right. Corn Pop was a bad dude, man.
So our next segment is where you.
Oh, we're going to the next one. Might as well, right?
If only if you're.
Well,
ready.
wait, no, wait. You're supposed to do the PA.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
You can do Zippo, right? Or whatever.
Zippy.
Zippy.
All right. Change scenes here. We'll go to this scene down here, and voila, here we are. Okay, so let's take this off. We have we're done with the Facebook. We're done with the Herald, and first of all, we want to talk about the cult leader.
He must be, right?
I mean, with a haircut like that, how can he not be, right? I mean, he's got the.
Wait. That's his professional picture in front of. Because he's just a man of the people. Like Wolf is a man of the people with a Jeep.
Yeah.
He's a man. He's a man of the people. The man of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So this is what we have here. Let me see if I can.
Today, repeating baseless claims of voter fraud.
There, I started too early there. Let's go back. I was on the wrong thing. I want to get a full shot here of Zippy and Brian Williams, as he discusses this is in reference to the Pennsylvania Senate having a meeting to discuss fraud, voter fraud, and different problems that they had with the election, actual voting, the voting part of it. That was pretty widely reported on, at least on for most of the conservative outlets.
Giuliani's meeting.
Yeah, it was
in
Giuliani.
Harrisburg. No, I'm sorry, Gettysburg.
Gettysburg.
It's the Gettysburg Giuliani meeting they had on Tuesday. I think,
yeah. So I think it was Wednesday. All right, so here's Brian Williams from the 11th hour. We have a couple cuts from it we're going to try to jump to and comment on. But let's start with his first typical. And remember, we talked about how the corporate media, this is another example of corporate media doing its business, carrying the water for the Democrats and trying to discourage people, saying that the election is over and that it's perfectly okay to have our votes stolen and it's perfectly okay to not investigate it, that there's no problem here, so keep moving forward, keep moving along. All right, so let's listen to the detestable Brian Williams.
Today, repeating baseless claims of voter fraud at a staged so-called hearing with Pennsylvania Republicans at a hotel ballroom, President said out loud over the phone he wanted to overturn the results of the election. The timing is curious. Pennsylvania officially certified.
So
how's it curious? It's in the middle of, it's an election process.
I'm not sure either, but I find it extremely entertaining. A little bit further on, they talk to the cult leader there with his Zippy.
This guy.
Yeah, Zippy. As you can see, we'll see if we can pull him up onto the screen for you.
Fetterman,
yeah.
He's up there, I thought. There he goes.
The voter fraud. Not one.
That's your part here. You want to talk about? You ready for that? You want to talk about that now?
Well, yeah.
Okay, because it leads right into my segment.
Single case of voter fraud, aside from the two established cases in Pennsylvania, which both involved Republicans trying to vote for Trump with their relatives, whether they were dead or living.
So that's a lie. Why is that a lie, brother?
That's an out-and-out lie. So, well, I mean, if you were going to be fair about it at all, you would point out that, okay, it's on both sides. But what he does is he only focuses on those two. Now, I'm sure there are very, very few Republicans who do try and cheat. But compare that to the overwhelming evidence of all the dead people that have voted. Compare the overwhelming evidence
for Biden.
For Biden, right, on the Democrat side. So when somebody does that to you like that, if they were on the stand, you be able to call them, you know what, you're a liar. You're an out-and-out liar because you are deliberately missing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So when he does it and then tries to poo-poo it all as nothing, I just wanted to point that out. This is how much you can trust him. It's the party. Now, he's a national Democrat socialist, and so this is the morals of a Democrat socialist. They have none. They are the exact opposite morals of what we would call morals, meaning truth, honor, virtue, things like that. They don't have them. Their God is Marx. Their God is the other guy, the devil.
And to be clear,
their morals is the other set of morals.
Should be clear on this.
Lying is okay to them because we're all the Hitlers to them.
Right. Well, to this 4-minute segment has just the cult leader and Brian Williams. This is another corporate hit job from the corporate media going after President Trump's fight for our vote. That's what this is an example of, because they have no other countering evidence. They have no other person up there to defend it, probably because they didn't find anybody like us to go on MSNBC.
Well, also in the meeting he's talking about Giuliani, a guy from Delaware County testified, and I forget his name, but he was a great guy. But he also brought up something that I remember. You cannot erase from my Wayback Machine. In the pre-election, about 2 months before the election, somebody broke into the warehouse where the election machines were held and stole a laptop and 30 zip drives, little thumb drives and stuff. And there was, they have actual, one of the things that Giuliani put on there was people saying, yeah, I saw them using these zip drives. And there's no chain of custody for them. So for him to say, this nonsense, there's nothing like that, it just shows you the mendacious level of these creeps. They will lie. If you were going to give a fair, like I said, take everything I say as qualified by the fact that, yes, there are Republicans who cheat too. And yes, it happens in Republican areas too, but to a much less degree. And that's why you need these strictures. For example, it comes up later that for signatures, states like Colorado and Oregon, they routinely reject about 50% to 80% of the signatures for a reason, right? Because some signatures are fraudulent. People are trying to have both people, voting for their parents. People are voting for dead people. People are doing bad things. So 1 out of every 200 votes in those areas are rejected on the basis of signatures because they're trying to put on an honest election. So now it could be Republicans doing it. It could be Democrats doing it. If you were fair, you would have that statistic out there. Of course, in the Georgia one, they had, well, I'll get to it, but that's why we have to go on to that. Right, but you be fair about it. So take everything we say as, listen, there are Republicans who cheat. And he brought up the fact that there's 2 of them. Okay. What about the 100,000 votes that are just for Biden? What about that?
Just for Biden.
What about that?
Ballots.
No down ballots. What about that, right? Explain that, Batman. No, Mr. Freeze. Explain that, Mr. Freeze.
That's much better.
No, I like Zippo.
Well, at least you've got Republican lawmakers at the White House tonight where they make the COVID fresh. They'll be coming back home after that gathering this evening. How does this lead?
Can you stop tape on that? Right.
So the fact that Brian Williams said that they make the COVID fresh, I mean, I almost want to play it back. They make the COVID fresh down at the White House. What is that in reference to? And
just a slur.
Just a slur, but it's also, I mean, it's not covered at all. No one talks about it. It's not. No one's reporting on it. This guy, Brian Williams, who's supposed to be a respected reporter and has been into business, I mean, for a couple of decades.
He was sold on us as being the great next
Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite.
Right, and so this clown,
and he goes and he likes NASCAR,
stuff like that.
That was the lie he tells, so he's okay for the Republican rubes, right?
Right, but he sits there and said, and then he wants them to get. Let's put aside the craziness that they make COVID down at the White House, but he wants these Republican state senators to get COVID. He wants them to get COVID. Where's the outrage for that? Where's the anger over that? Why are not the cancel culture going after him? I mean, no mask and everything like that, right? I mean, they go after you if you don't wear a mask. But this guy can encourage and hope that people get sick off of COVID. That's supposed to be this deadly disease, and yet nothing.
James,
nothing from the corporate media.
James, remember when we were over in Afghanistan, and I mean Iraq. No, I mean Vietnam. No, we were in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Vietnam. Remember we were flying in the helicopters, and they were shooting at us.
Not Hillary Clinton, John.
No, that was him. Remember, he was in Afghanistan. No, he was in Iraq, and they were shooting at him. Remember how they were shooting at us back then? Remember, do you think that one day we'd be able to come back and lie to the American people?
He is. I mean, it's irresponsible.
This is the problem with a virtue-less society, and a society when you take God out of society. This is the problem. You have virtueless creeps, who live in a bubble and they're never called out on it. They're never called out on it.
No, he won't, and neither will this clown either. Mr. Freeze / the.
No, I like Zippo, right? Remember,
Zippo.
He's got his
Zippy.
He's got his zip code tattooed.
That's why he's
to his arm, right? But not his address. So I mean, he was a big professor. Now the thing is too is he replaced as the lieutenant governor a Democrat who I would vote for. His name is Stack. And I like this guy. This guy is a compassionate guy, a genuinely compassionate guy, a sweetheart of a guy, right? And he's a bit of like a surfer dude, but that's what the Democrat Party used to be. Something who cared, people cared. This clown doesn't care about anybody but himself. He pretends. It's all pretend. Look, he's wearing it. This is his uniform, his Mali uniform, right? Black shirt versus gray shirt, right?
With the red flag behind him to make him look like he's actually supporting our country.
Yeah, he replaced a good lieutenant governor who Wolf didn't like because the guy was a genuine like cared about people. These frauds, these Democrat socialists, they lack the virtue and the morals that will have them that all the rest of us take for granted, that all the rest of us operate throughout our lives. And that's the war at the heart of our country. Just like the great Star Parker, the great African-American conservative lady says, it is 1850 all over again. And we're either going to be biblical and free or statist and atheist. And it's the statists and the atheists that have taken over the Democrat Party. The government is their God. Barack Obama and government is their God. And they have to destroy us. This is not, we can't coexist. There's not going to be any coexisting in this. There is no extremity in the defense of liberty, and liberty is at risk.
So this last piece here, I want to play for us.
To this lunatic fringe / death cult that is part of the Republican Party now. And
can you stop there for a second?
And that's why we call him the cult leader.
Right. If you're going to call out people in a lunatic cult, pro tip. Don't do it dressed in a black mouse shirt with a shaved head. Bad form. That's not good. Right. We're like to do like the does he have like some what was the Jim Jones Kool-Aid? You got some Kool-Aid for the side there, buddy?
Red flag. All right. So that's all we have for the cult leader.
Pro tip. That's our pro tip. That's the Ballistic Patriot pro tip.
Yeah, pro tip of the day. Don't look like a cult leader if you're going to call someone a cult.
Right.
Unbelievable. So that's what we have, brother.
Wait, can you put up the black shirt versus his gray shirt?
Oh, yeah. They're up there.
They have, right. Look. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And we'll put them
it's his uniform. There you go. It's his uniform.
Make it a little bit bigger for the audience to see.
Yeah, that's our leader. Their leader.
Especially with that look, huh?
Yeah.
You got that great face.
Yeah, that great face. Just so handsome. Obama's so great.
All right, so that's that, brother. We have one last segment to do.
On General Flynn, the pardon?
Yes, the pardon.
Which
I might have to interrupt in the middle because I think our appointment's gonna show up and we might have to pause. And
all right.
Come back
well, I'll do as much as I can real quick.
If I give you a hand up, that means take a break.
Well, all right.
We'll take a break.
Okay. All right. So General Flynn just got pardoned over for Thanksgiving. The president came out and pardoned him.
God bless President Trump.
Right. The best president we've ever had. But excuse me. Why this is significant is because this is one of the things that we've been following. He's been a completely good, innocent man and a virtuous person. The reason why they hate him is twofold. Number one, as Sidney points out, is because he was fired by Obama, and because of his intelligence, he's a 3-star general with military with a background in military intelligence. He represented he was going to do an audit of all the military services, and so that's why they because the Obama administration and Biden were hamstringing and surveying and doing treasonous acts, him coming in, he was the one person that was close to Trump that could actually find out what was happening and put a stop to it immediately. Plus, he was going to do the audit of the CIA, DNA, and all the rest of it, DI, and all the rest of it. So they had to get him. So they faked 2 charges against him, completely faked. And so the 2 charges, just to refresh everybody's recognition, was 1, failure to report, and 2, failure to report lobbyist activities, and 2, lying on to the FBI. Now, the first one is the easiest one to deal with that. So apparently, right when after he got fired, he started something called the Flynn Association, which was a lobbyist group, which a lot of people do in Washington D.C., and they represented Turkey. Somewhere after in June or July, there is released documents showing stroke, indicating that by that time they knew for sure that from having the records of his internal association, that was a complete lie, that he'd done all his compliance, that his organization had complied completely, had reported the Turkey, the activities on behalf of the Turkey government completely, 100%. And yet that's one of the charges that he was forced to plead guilty to. So the other charge was, of course, lying to the FBI. Now, that's also an out-and-out lie. The way that lie worked was this way. Comey, violating all procedures, sent over 2 FBI agents who then went in and talked to him violating procedures when he was moving into the transition team, trying to get ready for President Trump to come in, about the conversations he had with Kislyak, the Russian ambassador. To go back in time a little bit, Obama, because of the Russian interference, had sanctioned Russia by removing some ambassadors. And basically, Flynn just said, hey, just hold on till we get in charge, and had a new series of conversations. Now, he had these series of conversations down in he'd taken a vacation after the long election, and it was taken down in there was like the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands or something. But a couple things about this. Number one, the 302 is the FBI agents called 302s. Now, what is the 302? 302 is the FBI, because they are so poor, can't afford fancy little things called cell phones to record conversations, or recorders. Or it could be because when they go in there, they want to lie about what's actually said, and then if you record something, you can't lie about it. So for whatever, they go in and they come out. They're supposed to create what's called a 302, which is the after action interview report, where they write down everything was said so that they can use then to prosecute somebody. For example, why 7 FBI agents go in without tape recorders to interview Martha Stewart? So a billionaire can go to jail. That's why, and they can come and say whatever she said. Well, they come out and they create a 302. Only that original 302, good old Sidney finds out, disappears. Why does it disappear? Well, because it doesn't incriminate General Flynn. What it does is says that, well, General Flynn doesn't really remember what he said about it, and that's it. He remembers talking to Kislyak, doesn't remember exactly what was said. That's not a lie. Now, that actual first 302 disappears, and a second 302 is created, which is fraudulent and a criminal act. You are literally creating fake evidence. This fake evidence is then used by the by the Mueller report and 17 Democrats to at a fraudulent cost of $40 million to hamstrung the Trump presidency for 3 years, and then produced the Mueller report, whose signature and only accomplishment is the prosecution of General Flynn on 2 completely fake charges. To the degree now, General Flynn eventually taps out because he has no more money left, and the creeps on the Mueller are now threatening to go after his son, the Colonel Flynn. And so he taps out and says, I'll plead guilty. Goes in front of this Obama judge, Sullivan, who needs to be investigated, thrown impeached, and thrown in jail himself, and then enters a guilty plea, pleading guilty to 2 completely faked up charges. New lawyers come in. The great Sidney, the Kraken, comes in. And she comes in, finds out that he did not get full discovery, that the first lawyers were in cahoots with Eric Holder and company from the same law firm, and over in Eric Holder's law firm, or a bunch of some more discovery. Then she is allowed to beat out of the DOJ the actual proof showing that, yeah, guess what? Number one, they knew that the Flynn Association had completely complied with all the reporting requirements that they were supposed to. So that's a fake charge. And number two, the first 3 or 2 went missing. And by the way, the biggest part of it, and the kicker is this: how do you know that General Flynn did not lie? Well, because there's a procedure. And the procedure is, once you go do, if you are one of these, if you have a top security clearance that he did, your procedure is, once you talk to a foreign actor like the ambassador from Russia, you're supposed to go on your little secret CIA/DINA, whatever the hell it is, computer, and memorialize, meaning write in everything that he says. And of course, the general did that. And so amazingly, even though Trump, because that idiot Pence, that's why I don't like Pence, fired General Flynn, even though that happened, he kept his security clearance. The reason why he kept his security clearance is because the 7 conversations he had with the Russian ambassador were memorialized instantly, or when he went downstairs and did it afterwards, and were exactly what he said. Yeah, he said to the FBI, he says, I don't remember what it was, but you can just go look. Right, and they memorialized the fact that he did not lie. He was doing completely within his bounds, and he kept his super top secret secret clearance. Now, why is it also important is that Ballis Barr, in the investigation of these creeps, said, well, overzealousness is for political purposes is not criminal. That's why Barr is just another more exactly. Not only that, is it gives you motive.
Exactly.
It's the motive.
It's the reason why we should be prosecuting people.
If we take Barr on the face of it, well then, when a Muslim gentleman decides that he wants to cut somebody's head off because he's being a little bit overzealous, he's just being overzealous, right? Oh my God! Of course it is.
He murdered the guy's career.
Right. Well, more than that. Yeah. But this is so now. Why is it important? It's important for a couple things. Now, Flynn is free to sue, number one, but that's not going to be enough because these people still have not gone to jail, and they all need to go to jail. Hopefully, though, you will get this. As crazy as it is, in the civil world, you get more discovery than you do in the criminal world. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it is. So now all this stuff should be, but Trump can do one more favor. He can put it all out there because they're going to try and hide and say this all.
He can put Sidney Powell as the special
prosecutor into corruption of elections and into corruption of the 2016 election. Maybe bring that girl Jana, the cute little blonde girl who's she's a toughie too. But
who said that guy had a small microphone?
Yeah. Right, that girl. Put them. But for Flynn, he can now move forward to sue these jerks who have ruined. And here's the real reason why it's important. Why did they hate Michael Flynn? Right? I mean, he's a general. He's one of them. No, he's not, and that's why. Because what he is he didn't go to West Point or Annapolis. Take that more on McCain. He went to a state college. Right, he's got a regular college degree. He's one of 8 children. Right, he ROTC'd into the military. And here's the thing, though. All that being said, the reason why he is a 3-star general is because of merit. He didn't get there by who his daddy was. He got there by his hard work. He just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time. In the middle of Iraq, when that nut job al-Zawahiri was running around and al-Qaeda in Iraq, cutting people's heads off. He's the general that was in charge of the intelligence end of it, that freed up Delta to go roll up al-Qaeda in Iraq and kill all those mass murdering maniacs. In one, he was a general that was in charge of that. So he's competent. He's got merit. That's why they hate him so much. Well, he is one of us.
He's also the when he was working for Obama, he's the guy who came out and said that what the Obama administration was doing was wrong.
Merit versus the
being truthful.
Merit versus the dopey utopian deep state.
he was being truthful when Clapper and Brennan were lying to Congress. He came out and said that it's not going to work.
I always say that this, James, the reason why the aristocrats have to destroy us and have to replace us with a new class of poor people is because we ultimately are the competition. And we're better, and they know it. They know we're better than they are. They know we're tougher than they are. They know we're smarter than they are. All of us, individually, we have people that are smarter than any of them. And that's why they have to destroy the American middle class and why they're against Trump. Our archangel Trump.
All right, brother, we have to go. And on that note, talk to you later.